PWD stands for Print Working Directory. This command simply tells you where you are inside the system. When you open Kali Linux, you are always inside some folder, even if you don't see it. And if you don't know your current location, running other commands becomes confusing very quickly. So PWD is usually the first command beginners run, not because it's powerful, but because it removes uncertainty. It prints the full path of your current directory, starting from the root. Once you know where you are, the next thing you usually want to do is see what's around you. ls shows you the files and folders inside your current directory. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't execute anything. It simply lists what exists. This command is used constantly because Linux doesn't show files visually unless you ask. And beginners quickly learn that before touching anything, it's safer to look first. As you use Kali more, you'll notice that ls becomes muscle memory. After listing files, the next logical step is movement. cd. cd stands for change directory. This command lets you move from one folder to another. For example, if you see a folder called downloads, cd downloads moves you inside it. And if you ever want to go back, cd dot takes you one level up. This simple movement system is how hackers navigate Kali Linux. There's no clicking, there's no dragging, just location changes. Once beginners understand cd, they stop feeling lost. And once they stop feeling lost, they start creating things. mkdir. mkdir means make directory. This command creates a new folder. Beginners usually use this to organize tools, scripts, or practice files. For example, creating folders like scans, notes, or targets. It teaches an important habit early on, structure. Because in hacking, messy environments slow you down. Once a folder exists, you'll often want to put files inside it, which leads to the next command, touch. Touch creates a new empty file. It doesn't open it. It doesn't write content. It just creates the file. This is commonly used to create scripts, text files, or placeholders. Many beginners are surprised by how often files are created before anything is written, because in Linux, files are often prepared first and edited later. But once files exist, you eventually need to read them. Cat. Cat is used to display the contents of a file. When you run cat file name, the entire file is printed in the terminal. This is useful for small files like notes, logs, or configuration files. However, beginners quickly notice a problem. If the file is too long, everything floods the screen, which is why cat is often followed by a better alternative, less. Less displays file content one screen at a time. Instead of dumping everything at once, it lets you scroll. You can move up and down, search for keywords, and exit cleanly. This command becomes extremely important when reading scan results, word lists, or output logs. Most professional users prefer less over cat, because hacking isn't just about running tools, it's about reading results carefully. Once beginners can read files properly, they start modifying them. Nano is a simple terminal-based text editor. It allows you to write and edit files directly inside the terminal. It's beginner-friendly and doesn't overwhelm new users. Most people use Nano to edit configuration files, write scripts, or take notes. You don't need to memorize complex shortcuts. Everything is shown at the bottom of the screen, and once you start editing files, you realize that mistakes happen, which is why copying files becomes important. CP copies files or folders. If you want to back up before changing something, this is the command you use. Beginners often learn this the hard way. They edit a file, they break something, and they wish they had a backup. CP quietly prevents that mistake. And after copying files, the next thing beginners usually want is cleanup. rm deletes files. And this command is dangerous, because once something is removed, it usually cannot be recovered. There is no recycle bin here. That's why experienced users pause before pressing enter. Beginners quickly learn that Linux trusts you. It assumes you know what you're doing, and that trust is both powerful and unforgiving. MV is used to move files and folders, but it also has a second purpose. It can rename them. When beginners first notice this, it feels a little strange, because in most operating systems, moving and renaming are separate actions. In Linux, they are the same. If you move a file to a new path, it changes location. If you move it to the same path with a new name, it gets renamed. This command becomes useful when organizing scan results, scripts, or reports. And organization matters more than beginners think, because once files start piling up, confusion slows everything down. chmod controls permissions. It decides who can read, write, or execute a file. When beginners download a script and try to run it, they often see an error. The file exists. The command is correct, but it still doesn't run. That's because Linux doesn't assume files are executable by default. chmod + x changes that. It tells the system that this file is allowed to run. This command teaches an important Linux principle. Access is controlled, not assumed. And once permissions make sense, identity becomes the next question. Who am I shows which user you are currently logged in as. This might sound obvious, but in Kali Linux, it matters, because different users have different privileges. Some commands work only as a normal user. Others require administrative access. And beginners often forget which identity they're using. Who am I removes that confusion instantly. Once identity is clear, networking becomes the next step. Ifconfig shows network interface information. It tells you things like your IP address, your network adapter, whether the interface is active or not. This command was commonly used for years. And although newer systems now prefer the IP command, many tools still reference ifconfig. Beginners use this command to check whether they are connected before running any network-based tool, because hacking without connectivity goes nowhere. IP is the modern replacement for ifconfig. It provides more detailed and accurate network information. With it, you can view interfaces, routing tables, and addresses. At first, beginners find it harder to read, but over time, it becomes more reliable. This transition teaches something important. Linux evolves, but old knowledge doesn't disappear overnight. Understanding both commands helps you read tutorials, scripts, and documentation without confusion. Once networking information is visible, beginners naturally test connectivity. Ping checks whether another system is reachable. It sends small packets and waits for replies. If replies come back, the connection exists. If they don't, something is blocking the path. Beginners use ping constantly, not to hack anything, but to confirm that communication is possible. Because many attacks fail not due to tools, but due to unreachable targets. And once connectivity is confirmed, traffic observation becomes important. Netstat shows network connections and open ports. It tells you what services are running and how data flows. This command helps beginners understand what's happening behind the scenes. Which programs are listening, which ports are open, which connections are active. Although newer systems may replace it with other tools, Netstat still appears in many learning environments. And learning to read it builds awareness, because hidden activity is where most problems start. Once network behavior is understood, system behavior comes next. PS shows running processes. It tells you which programs are currently active. This command is especially useful when something feels wrong. A tool freezes, the system slows down, a process refuses to stop. PS helps identify what's running and how long it's been there. Beginners slowly realize that systems don't just lag. They are busy doing something. Understanding processes removes that mystery. Top gives a live view of system activity. Unlike PS, it updates continuously. You can see CPU usage, memory usage, and running tasks in real time. This command helps beginners visualize system load. When a tool consumes too much memory, Top reveals it. When multiple processes compete, Top shows it. And over time, beginners stop guessing. They start observing. Sudo allows you to run commands with administrative privileges. This is one of the most powerful commands in Kali Linux, and also one of the most dangerous, because it bypasses restrictions. Beginners often think hacking means always using sudo, but experienced users use it carefully, because with great access comes irreversible mistakes. Sudo is not about power, it's about responsibility, and understanding when not to use it is just as important as knowing how to use it.